Okay, thank you everybody for being here. Welcome back. We will get this meeting started at 6:09. First, we'll do our call to order. Position 1, Chris Durrett is absent. Position 2, Martina McNichols.
Present.
Position 3, Donald Atkinson.
Present.
Position 4, Carolyn Waits.
Present.
Position 5, Jason Black, I'm present. Position 6, Derek Dalmelin.
Present.
Position 7, Ty Watkins is absent. We will now stand and do the pledges, please.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, next up we have public comments. Do we have any public comments? No. All right, having none, we will move on. Our first order of business is a public hearing. I will read off the public hearing here. The public hearing to hear comments for or against the proposed project 2025-03 Rich's Car Wash, site improvements, utilities, reimbursement for car wash commercial business to be located at 19212 Highway 6, Manvel, Texas 77578. Applicant HPR Wash LLC, DBA Rich's Car Wash, for the expenditure of funds in the estimated amount of up to $20,000 to be required or suitable for one or more of the following categories provided by state law, detailed by number 1, 2, and 3. The project site is to be located at 19212 Highway 6, Manvel, Texas. Said project is to include the expenditure of up to $20,000 to be reimbursed to applicant HPR Wash LLC, DBA Rich's Car Wash, for site improvements, utilities for the car wash facility in a commercially targeted area, which will further economic development, create commercial investment, and create and/or retain jobs in the city of Manvel. Project 2025-03. All right, do we have anybody that would like to speak at the public hearing? I'll give 3 calls. First call. Having none, we'll start our second call. Please come up.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Marianne Atkinson. I'm at 7425 Jordan Road in Manvel. You know what would be nice with this car wash is a hand-detailed car wash too. It would make more jobs and more income, because a lot of people don't like going through the automatic ones. So maybe a hand car wash detail would be nice too. Thank you.
It's a great idea. Thank you, Marianne. Anyone else? Our third call for anyone that would like to speak on the public hearing. Okay, having no more speakers, we will close the public hearing at 6:12 p.m. and we will move on with our regular agenda. Item A is consideration and possible action to approve and forward with recommendation to City Council Project 2025-03 HPR Wash LLC, DBA Rich's Car Wash. Said project is to include the expenditure of up to $20,000 to be reimbursed to applicant HPR Wash LLC, DBA Rich's Car Wash, for site improvements, utilities for the car wash facility in a commercially targeted area, which will further economic development, create commercial investment, and create and/or retain jobs in the city of Manvel. Project 2025-03. Do we have any questions or comments on this agenda item? Okay, having none, do we have a motion to approve the $20,000?
I make a motion to approve the $20,000 and forward it to City Council.
We have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We will move on to B, consideration and possible action to accept the MEDC audit for the year ended September 30th, 2024. And we have a speaker. Thank you.
You got the PowerPoint or? Oh, good. Okay, so just to introduce myself, I'm Ben Cohen with Crow. So we used to be Belt Harris Pahacek, and no longer have to say that name anymore, but Belt Harris Pahacek was absorbed by Crow. So the city went through a new audit firm auditing them this year. And so along with the the Economic Development Corporation, because it's part of the city's audit. And so the same team was on it. I was the managing director of the audit last year, along with Stephanie Harris, who was the partner. But we were using new audit software, new everything, new people looking at it, new quality control measures, and all of that. And so it was like the city getting and the entity getting audited by a new firm. And so anyways, just a little history. I've actually used to, before, I've been auditing the city in the EDC probably since 2012 or 11. So there was a little 5-year break where I left and went to Dallas for 5 years between 2016 and 21. But when I came back to Belt Harris Pahacek, I resumed working on the city. And so anyways, I'm going to be brief and just on the first slide, it's just this right here. It's just going over the phase of the audit. Again, the Economic Development Corporation is part of the city's audit. It's a discrete opinion unit. So within the financial statements, there's a column there to the right. It's not within the primary government, but it kind of sits by itself there in the financial statements. And this just goes over kind of the process of the audit and just what we do. We got planning phases, and then we got the work over the trial balance, the subsidiary ledger, and then the financial statements themselves, and we help prep those. The next slide is for new accounting standards. There were no accounting standards that affected the Economic Development Corporation, so there was nothing new this year with anything like that. And then the next slide, as far as the EDC is concerned, there was no corrected misstatements with the EDC's financial statements, that meaning the trial balance provided, and there were no uncorrected misstatements within those financial statements. And then there's some other required communications that we're required to disclose with to the city and the component units, and there were no difficulties encountered with management, meaning like everything that we said needed to be reported, that we agreed to it. And there were no outside consultants and no significant adverse events as far as the audit's concerned that would change our opinion. And just to let you know, we did give the city the highest, and the the Economic Development Corporation, the highest level of assurance over those financial statements, meaning it's the unmodified opinion. That's the highest we can give. We can't give grades, obviously, but either it's a pass-fail type thing. So the next slide really is just a snapshot of your financial statements. There's really not much to this. Last year's total assets was about $6.1 million, and this year was about $7.9 million. That's primarily due to the fact that you just have a extremely large increase every year in sales tax revenues, which you will see that on the next slide. I love this slide because it kind of shows probably when I stopped doing your audit the first time, because I left Houston, what your sales taxes were, which was around $250,000 to now about $1.5 million or so. That's roughly 25% a year. If you do the rule of 72, and things keep doubling, so every 2.5 years. So the Economic Development Corporation is growing. Obviously, the sales tax is growing, city's growing. We all know that. We all see it. We see the development all around us. And so that's just a little snapshot of looking at the audits or looking at the sales taxes over the years. And this is just for the EDC's sales taxes. And that's all I have to present. If you have any questions, I did bring the financial statements with me, but I don't have to open those up if you're fine.
I don't have any questions. Does anyone else? Shout out to Rosie for getting a good grade. No, we're good. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've got to make a motion to accept the audit. Anybody like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the audit.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. All right, we'll move on to C, presentation by Next Move Group, LLC, Childcare Studies.
And then this one is going to actually be on the screens. Both Chad and Allie are going to be on there to do the presentation, excuse me, from Next Move. And there's Chad.
Hey, Chad.
Let's see, can you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you.
Okay, good. I don't know if you can hear me or not. All right, I don't know if Allie's on here yet or not, so I will start out. She does most of our child care stuff, but I know enough to be dangerous, so let's see here. I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago, we had an industry we were working with to do a location, ended up in South Carolina. And one of their big concerns was they didn't think there was enough child care there. They were going to hire 200 or 300 people, and they didn't think there was enough child care there for that. So they actually asked us to do a study for them rather than the community to figure out if they needed to add child care themselves. Child care is such a big problem across the country that some of these industries are literally building child care facilities at the plant or in the data center or in the warehouse in Amazon's case and all. And so we did that, and we started offering it to communities. So basically, we can show you how many child care seats you're short and how that not only affects the community, but how it affects the workforce. Interestingly, I just spoke at an event in Florida, and this is the #1 issue of the Florida Chamber. So everybody thinks that Florida's got everything figured out. In Tampa, it takes 3 years to get child care. Well, obviously you don't know you're going to be pregnant. Literally, you have to get on the list before you have a kid in Tampa and Orlando and other parts of Florida. So it's a big, big problem. So I'll just show you. This is one we just did for Rome, Georgia. Hallie's calling me, so she may be here. Let me tell her. Hey, are you in the meeting? Okay, well, I'm already in, so if you can get in, that's fine. If not, that's fine. Okay, bye. This is up near Atlanta, so it's a little bigger numbers probably than you, although they're as close to Houston. But you're probably closer to Houston than they are. But basically, we were able to show them they are 1,286 child care seats short right now of the seats they need for kids below age 5. So obviously, if these facilities don't exist, then people either have to travel further out to put the kid and then maybe work there instead. Or just simply leave the workforce. In many cases, folks have left the workforce. And then they're another 2,400 short of after school and summer child care access. I'm not going to bore you with all the demographics that we studied to do it. So one thing I will tell you, the child care problem is probably going to work itself out in 5 or 10 years because people are having less kids than ever. If you look at stats, it's unbelievable the size of the household, how much it's going down. So I think over the long term, this is going to work itself out, but it's still a huge short-term problem. In most cases, it's $11,000 or $12,000 a kid to get it. So basically, we can show you how many kids you got, as well as the migration with y'all's population growing, and then how that affects the labor force. So in this particular county in Georgia, if a woman has 2 children, she only works 63% of the time, whereas in the state of Georgia average, she works 66%. So, they're not only lower than the U.S. average, they're 3% lower than the Georgia average. So this is a gap that if somehow they were able to fill, not only would it be a good quality of life for their citizens, but it would help improve their workforce. But the employers will have more folks to choose from. And then again, it's a whole lot of demographics we do, and we look at migration patterns, and then we actually call your available child care facilities to understand what their wait list is like, Do they have extra capacity? Could they add capacity, under certain circumstances or so forth? So this is just it's short, sweet, to the point. It's not a 30-page study. And we've been doing them for between $5,000 and $10,000. So I think for Manvel's case, it'd probably be around 5,000 if I had to guess, based on the population. This is another one we just did over in Kentucky. Again, same format, numbers change. But look here, in this county in Kentucky, women with 2 children only work 57%, compared way lower than the Kentucky average. So what we try to do is tie it to workforce, not just here's how many child care seats you might happen to need. And I think Allie's on here now. So Allie, I don't know if you've had other conversations. I know child care was something that was mentioned way back when we did the study a year or two ago. I don't know if it's been discussed anymore. So Allie, I'll let you introduce yourself. They may have some new board members never met you before.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I can't really see faces, but Allie Watson, Next Move Group, Executive Vice President. Chad and I worked on kind of the visioning plan together for you all last year. And yeah, interested to hear your thoughts and questions on the study. The child care study, that is.
Yeah, y'all have any questions or?
That's the company.
Do you guys have any questions for him? Chad, one of my questions is, if we do that study and we find out that, that we're way short on capacity on that, what are the steps that you take to try to get that capacity filled?
So we almost write a strategy for that. And there's no right or wrong answer. Some community, we just did one where literally they had a senior living facility that they added on to because they figured they could use the same kitchen. They already had nurses in place. So they partnered there with their senior living facility to add child care. Some places have done incentives to existing child care providers to add. There's no right or wrong answer. But basically, once we figure out how many short you are, kind of like what we did for y'all's other study, we then show you examples of what other towns have done and almost write a little plan for that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. I mean, this is definitely something I haven't thought about to this point, so
it's become a workforce issue. It's become a workforce issue. We saw the other day, Allie found an article, and women this year, in 2025, women, was it a certain age group, Allie, had left the workforce more than ever in history of the world. Since like the Great Depression. And child care was like the #1 reason because either they can't get it or if they have 2 kids, it's just simply too expensive unless there's some kind of partnership that's made.
Go ahead, Tammy.
Hey, Chad, this is Tammy. So your comment regarding that it would somewhat sort itself out 5+ years down the road, being that we don't have any large industrial plants or Tesla's not making us any offers to come build in this area, by time you did a study for us and by time it got kind of off the ground, it could possibly be the 5 years when it's starting to work itself out before we would actually maybe have new daycares built. Would we be doing it too soon if it's kind of going to sort itself out and we don't have industry right now in that sense?
Would have to go back and look. Your population is growing so fast. I would have to go back, and I don't have it in front of me. It's been a year since we did it. I would have to look at the demographic data of your population growing so fast. But yes, from a holistic standpoint, nationwide, the birth rate is way down. And I mean, if you look at Twitter, you got politicians and Elon Musk and all talking about it, and we're seeing it in the statistics. And people are waiting later than ever to have kids, and then they may only have one where they used to have 2 or 3. So I really think, like over the long term, I kind of think this will work itself out, whether it's 5 years or 10 years. You may have more pressure than most towns, even without industry, because your population is growing so fast. So then it just ends up with, well, do I take the child closer to Houston or Sugar Land or wherever, as opposed to that. But yeah, I think it'll work itself out. We're also doing senior living studies, and I'm telling you, that is not going to work. So that's the opposite. Everybody's living longer than ever, And so whereas I think the child care workout, these senior living studies we're doing, because some communities want very, when I think of senior living, unfortunately, my dad's in an Alzheimer's, late stage Alzheimer's. So I think of a nursing home, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like communities, for seniors where they have stuff to do and restaurants and all that kind of stuff. A lot of towns are really looking at that. Because that also grows wealth in addition to, plus it's not, and then they may progress like my dad who has Alzheimer's. So in addition to the child care, we're doing those, and that's not going to work itself out because people are living so long. But these are basically two things we've added really in the last year or two based on just demand we're getting from our clients needing it. And then a lot of them use it to go get grant money. So, like we just had one in Iowa, they were able to show how many they needed. And then they went and got some grant money, I think, from the Economic Development Administration and the state of Iowa to help them fund, what they were going to do. So you may be right. You may not need it unless you wanted to use it in order to go pursue other grant money.
Yeah, I think just kind of shooting from the hip, our problem is definitely population boom. And I kind of feel like that'll work out. Somebody's going to come in and offer childcare probably. And so we would probably want to watch and see what happens, because I think as the population grows, because these neighborhoods are all very new, like within the last, 2 years, and they're still coming right now. And so it seems to me like the need is going to be identified by somebody that's in that space without us really. I can tell you, if you ran the study, we probably are way behind because it's grown so fast. And I don't know that we've added any besides.
We've got 2 in the city limits.
2 in the city limits?
Each neighborhood has at least,
What I've noticed at other places, and y'all don't have a hospital, do you? In the hospital in the adjacent town?
Yeah, we don't have one here.
Yeah, what I've
yet.
noticed from other communities are the schools, because they're predominantly female employees, the hospitals, even the banks. A lot of those employees will say that it's a huge need. And then the industries are saying it. I have been stunned. We are now seeing like Amazon's building the child care in the Amazon distribution center as they go. So I think some industries are taking it on themselves to do it because they're figuring that's the recruiting tool to help them hire people as well.
What were you going to say, Martina, about the neighborhoods?
most of the new neighborhoods have the child care facilities already built into the neighborhood. Like Pomona has, 2? I think Meridiana has one already. There's a couple within the city.
2 in the city limits as well.
And then I'm not sure how many home facilities they have too.
Well, while I've got you, I want to show you something else. Let's see here. We have a conference in New Orleans every 2 years where we bring in top site selectors, speakers when it pertains to economic development, community development, and so forth. Allie and Alex and I yesterday met at my house for some brainstorming. We've got 180 signed up. The reason I thought of y'all is Mathis, Texas is bringing their entire EDC board, 9 of them. I was shocked because they got 9 hotel rooms. So I called them. This is them right here. They got 9 hotel rooms. And so they said they're bringing them all because not only do they want to, hear the speakers and do all the economic development stuff, but kind of treat it as an economic development various retreat. So I know they're not too far from you. So I told Allie we were Zooming y'all that I needed to show this to you. We are actually announcing our full agenda tomorrow, but these are some of the top site selectors. So we have these folks all help industries figure out where to go. And we bring them from all over the country, as you will see. But then we've got various other speakers. We've got a lot of folks speaking on infrastructure, water, sewer, electric. These data centers are using so much electric that it's causing a major problem in a lot of areas. And even if you don't get one, just if they're in the down next door, it may affect you. And so we got some folks talking on that and housing. This guy was the Chamber of Commerce director in Joplin, Missouri, when the F5 tornado came through and killed 100 people. And he's going to talk about disaster preparedness, what a city can do, well before a storm ever comes. And anyway, we've got a whole bunch of good speakers. ACT, the college testing program, is one of our sponsors. This fellow's going to talk about cybercrime and how municipalities are getting robbed with these fake invoices. I just read the other day one got robbed of $700,000. They paid a road invoice that was a fake one that they didn't know. So anyway, we've got a whole bunch of these folks coming, and I thought of y'all because actually we got SMU. Where's the SMU guy? We've got SMU. This guy here, he's the director of the research park at SMU is coming. So we got some university. But I thought of y'all because I looked, and Mathis, Texas is bringing their whole board. So if y'all want to send 2 or 3, I think we can figure out how to make it work.
That's pretty awesome. Do you guys do these annually?
We do it every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
And yeah, we do it every 2 years. We do it the week before Mardi Gras in New Orleans because it's not crazy, it's not wild yet. I mean, you could actually justify coming as a family friendly, but it's the first night that there's a actual big parade. So you do get to see one parade, but it's not the wild one. That way people can go on home. We did it for that just so we could attract the speakers, because a lot of them want to come to Mardi Gras, and it just took off on us. So now we've added a day this year. We've now got breakout sessions. We've added a bunch of public works. So we got a lot of water and sewer and city management type people coming on the public work side. The problem, and I know y'all don't really get big industry there, but nationwide, these industries are using so much water and electricity that they're putting major league pressure on communities to serve them. And they've got unrealistic time frames. And I'm all for jobs. I'm the biggest jobs fellow they ever was. But I mean, these industries are needing 100 megawatts of power in 6 months, and it just isn't there. And so a lot of our conversation is going to be, how do we educate these industries, on what's realistic and not? Because some of these poor cities end up in a position that they can't really defend themselves. So anyway, we do it every 2 years, though. We have a big Texas contingency, but this is the first time we've ever had an entire EDC board coming. So anyway, that's why I thought of y'all.
No, we appreciate that. No, that's very cool, interesting stuff. Does anybody have any questions for Chad while he's here? All right, Chad, we'll keep this stuff in our back pocket and we'll be in contact with you.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Allie.
Oh, no, I was just waving back.
Okay, we don't need to take any action on that. So we will move on to item D, discussion on approved project 2020-02, City 160-acre municipal complex and MOU between the city and the MEDC. Said project is for the annual expenditure of 90% of the MEDC sales tax revenues received to be paid to the city of Manvel to develop and construct the city 160-acre municipal complex in the city of Manvel to further economic development, project 2020-02. Said commitment of funds by MEDC may be used to fund bonds, certificates of obligation, and/or other funding mechanisms. Okay, so I asked for this item to go onto the agenda just so that we could have a discussion about it. First, I wanted us all to kind of familiarize ourselves with it again. We talked about it last meeting. Chris had brought it up, and we had a little bit of discussion to it. Is there any questions on the actual MOU and the terms of it as to, what the EDC gives to the city? Is everybody familiar with that?
Mm-hmm. 90% for life.
It's not for, it's for our lives. I think there's 95 years. How many are left on it? Or 2022, so, yeah, so 90-something years are left on it.
Executed in 2018.
Oh, 2018.
So on that time frame, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I know it had the time frame in there, and I know that the council is going to be having some discussions as well. I wanted Jason, you to be in there, but for the most part, Bobby, is it unchangeable for whatever debt issuance is there, and then pending on what's decided for money that hasn't been allocated, that's where there could be some?
Okay, real simply, either side can terminate the agreement with a year notice. MEDC can unilaterally decide we want out of this arrangement and give a year notice and terminate it. So can the city. The only caveat is once funds have been pledged to a bond or other obligation, that's got to continue until it's paid off. And we do have that right now. The wastewater treatment plant, it's got a large payment that's being used from the money that MEDC's pledged. So obviously if there are bonds there that are funded by this cash flow, you can't reduce that or take that away. So that's the only thing. that you can terminate it, but this would stay in place for the life of the bonds. And I don't know exactly what that payment is or how long the bonds are off the top of my head, but usually we have 30-year bonds.
And if I remember correctly, it was somewhere between $1 million and $1.1 million per year is what we have from EDC's portion of it.
Correct. And I just don't know if there was a negative amortization to start with, or if it's a set straight line amortization. Rosie could probably give you those details, but the concept is basically that has to stay in place. But you still have other money to deal with and more coming in every year. So this, could be something to consider, but that's basically the gist of it is as far as termination. It's a 99-year agreement, but either side can get out of it with a year notice. So it's really like a 1-year agreement if you want it to be. Yeah.
I'm assuming the thought to get out of it is to use more money to help grow and develop. Okay.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I think long-term that I would like to see for the EDC is to actually hire a director on staff.
Yeah.
And right now with our budget, we just don't have, even if we had enough to hire that person, they wouldn't have any resources to do anything, right? And so I think the direction that, and this is just my opinion, I want to hear your guys' feedback on this, is to have somebody that's doing that full-time, because I take a lot of that responsibility on now, and I like doing it, but I can't do it full-time, right? And so there's a lot of things, meeting with potential business owners, site selectors, that we're not doing right now that I think we could do as an EDC moving forward. And with that, even with that $1.1 million coming out, if we can capture $300,000 back a year, or maybe $400,000 back, it's going to grow as sales tax grows. But right now, as sales tax grows, we're only growing by 10%. And so we've got developments that are coming in that are going to bring $1 million here, $2 million there. That doesn't really mean a whole lot of money for EDC, right? And a lot of that money is just going to go sit because the 160 acres also isn't moving at the moment right now. And I know that there is some talks on the 160. Somebody's doing some studies or something. Is that correct right now?
I think council did revisit the layout, and that was the subject of one of the meetings. I'm not quite sure as far as the design, if anything's been completed, but they did, revive that whole process of going through the different permutations of what can get on there.
And so there will be money needed if that project moves forward. My personal opinion is that it's going to be a really expensive project. And our money's not going to just barely scratch the surface of what it's going to take to get there, but we can help with infrastructure and moving forward. We do have some meetings set up to speak with staff and council coming up because, that buzz has been going around for several months now. And I'd like to bring it all to light and say, hey, what are the options here? That's my opinion on it. What do you guys think about renegotiating this thing, trying to capture some of it back, moving forward in a little different direction than what we've been in?
Nobody on MEDC or on council was involved in this. It's just been inherited.
Definitely not on this board. I'm not sure council, if anybody is still on. I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Do you know, Bobby?
From when it first started.
Maybe Dan Davis. Maybe Dan Davis.
Dan was a council person at that point, yes.
Yeah.
2021. I got off council to run for county commissioner.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember if he was on council for that one or not.
But if not, all the rest of them,
The other ones were not.
yep.
No, definitely not all the rest of them.
And Dan, like I said, might have, but like you said, I think he was 19 and 20.
And I will say I've had good positive feedback from council on this, and so if we want to move forward, I think now is the time to do
Basically, we would be redoing the terms, maybe where it didn't go up and left a little bit more for us to spread our eggs out, so to speak.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different options, and I think that meeting with council and staff would probably lay the groundwork of what are they willing to do, what are we willing to, we're going to try to do all that we can, right? And so there's got to be agreement on it because they've got to, as a council, agree to renegotiate on the terms.
Yeah,
And so
worth talking about.
I think there's several different directions we can go. I think, we might not recapture all of it. We're definitely not going to recapture the $1 million.
Yeah.
Maybe we cap it at a certain number per annual, right? I don't know. I just think that it's a bad deal.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. It's just a bad deal. It's
we have
9 years and 90% of the money.
Yeah, we have goals and stuff we want to do, and we're kind of handicapped.
It will allow us to do a lot more than what we can do right now, for sure.
I like the idea of basically, instead of just giving all our money to the city to use towards the town center project or the city center project, that we get our money, and then when they need money for that, then we talk to them just like we talk to any other business.
That's definitely an option.
And it goes towards any open bonds the city has, or does it have to be capital projects with the city?
Just the one bond issuance right now.
Okay, just the
Yeah.
one, okay.
Well, and remember, this was posted and approved as a project, so if you terminate this to start, you might have to start over
Yeah.
and list it as another project with, another request. And just to let everybody know, this came out of a retreat that MEDC had, and going through the approved uses, one of them was parks. And it was Jason Albert, I believe, at the time, that said, well, if we use this for parks, why don't we make a big splash? Because those parks are bringing a lot of money as far as tournaments. And there's a study out there somewhere that if you ever get to see about what that, potential, at least a consultant had said, the potential of economic development that these tournaments bring to the town was noticeable. So at the time, it was, let's make a big splash. And this is quite common. A lot of MEDC, a lot of cities that I've worked for, they meet maybe once a year because all of the money that they get is tied up in big projects. And they meet once a year just to, I guess, to be relevant, but really there's nothing they can really do. And the 90% came out of that saying, well, we'd really like to still keep to doing some mom and pop projects and keep that, some stuff going while still making a big splash with the 160 acres, which could have a big economic impact. So just letting you know, that's the history of how it came to be. If it's not working out the same or needs to be revisited, that's between you and council, but at least this is how it kind of started and got momentum and actually got inked as a deal that way, so.
Yeah, and I think as council turned over, I think the vision for that property probably changed a little bit too.
A lot.
A lot of it. And so I think that's part of this, right? Because that's kind of in an impasse, and it has been. It's been talked about more in the last 6-8 months, year, than it did for the, the prior couple years before that. And so maybe that project does happen one day, and that is what we do. But we, as a board, we have to decide, do we want to be the option that Bobby's talking about, where we have a small pool of money and we're just doing little things here and there, or do we want to bring that money in and try to do some bigger things?
I think there's enough for both to help with projects and to grow what we do.
Yeah, with our vision plan, the way we did it and all that, we got to have money to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ain't getting there at 10%.
Go ahead, Carolyn.
I was just going to say, whether we end up hiring an economic development director or whatever, having the money to where at least one of us can represent the city at all these economic development conferences and stuff like that. I think that is very important to what we need to do right now. I'm not sure if that made any sense at all.
Makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yes.
And I will point out that our budget right now allows for some of that to happen, right? We could spend $10,000 to go do things. We could do that right now.
But if we spend that money to try to do that, we don't have the money to bring the other part here.
Exactly.
That's where we lack, is if we're to go out and try to recruit, or we're trying to do these things, we don't have resources at that point to help get any infrastructure and things done, right? Or at least we don't have it in our regular budget. And then if we spent all of our savings, then we'd just be completely exhausted, and we'd come meet once a year,
And again, because it's what already is being given is tied up, you might not have that 10% as it grows, and that may take some time to grow. Hopefully, there's new commercial development going on that will make that growth take off, and another one that we're talking about that may have a significant impact. But as of right now, even if you terminated it in a year, by providing notice today, would terminate in a year, you would still have to what you're paying now, and I don't know how much we're going to incrementally grow or how fast, and that delta would be what you could use, which over time would be significant. But I was saying nothing would happen really quickly, I guess is my point.
Yeah,
We got to start somewhere.
that's right. And I would highlight Bobby's right on that, but I'm kind of looking 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, because this deal goes for 99 years. And so we'll all be gone and off the board, and the same people will come in and be like, wait, we're giving 90% away of it? You know, why did I sign up for this board? And that's what I don't want to happen. I want that board to feel like they've got the funds to be empowered to go out and try to make a difference. And
That was the first
bringing businesses
question
in.
I asked when I got on this board, was how did we get only 10%?
How did it go for 99 years?
How is it not a
The
fixed
city
amount?
had good negotiators at that point.
Martina, do you have anything?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. So are we, as a board, comfortable moving forward with discussions at least? And
Yeah,
just kind of
I
see
think
where
we
it
need
goes?
to.
Yeah, okay. Anything else while we're on the topic? No? Okay, we'll move on. No action taken on D. Now we have E, discussion on the city getting RFPs from the state or another organization for potential commercial projects. I also asked to have this on because I think it kind of ties in. At several meetings that I've been at recently, they always bring up, are you getting RFPs? Are you getting anything from the state? Are you getting anything from the, the local organizations? And we don't get any of this stuff now. And so I'd like to see us just move into a place where we're at least seeing it. Even if we're not submitting on stuff, I think we should be in a position now where the city is to be able to see it, to be able to decide, do we need to start trying to submit some of these RFPs? What does that look like? How do we get there? And I don't know the answer to that as to how we get there. I know that we had Betty in explaining some of that. Tammy, do you remember what it was that we needed to do?
So it wasn't, I have all the notes I can send back on some of the things that she had done. The biggest thing was the scenic city, being that, and then being qualified for movies. I don't recall this piece of it, so I'll have to look back on all those notes. Actually, when Dan had asked what this item was, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. We were thinking it was more RFPs for the process that the city does that we're required to do for projects over a certain dollar amount, but that's not what you were talking about. You were wanting,
Yeah, it's more for site selectors when they go to the state or when they go to the county to give us those opportunities and say, hey, do you have, properties that meet these requirements? And then we can go in and we can put a proposal in for them and say, we do have this, right? And then we get on the list to try to get those businesses to come to town.
Is this a subscription service or?
No, the state sends them out once you're kind of a part of whatever we need to do to qualify to get into that, the state sends them out.
Okay.
I know that the county gets them. I think the Alliance gets them, so maybe the Alliance can help us figure out. But my point of putting it on there was I wanted us to discuss moving in that direction just so we can start seeing what's out there.
Yes.
What's being available to the community.
Yeah, because we need that side of it, not just what people come in here is already starting to build or whatever. We got to do it to where we can get other businesses coming here to at least look.
Yeah, and even in that instance, if let's say there's an a big industry, a Tesla or something, I don't know, that comes through the RFP process, and we say, oh yeah, we'd like to meet with them. Then we can then put that in, and they'll look at us and see if we meet the requirements for them, and we can have that conversation. Right now, with our small budget, we don't have to give them a whole lot of money, but we have to let them know, hey, we're here and this is what we have to offer, right? And then they can have agreements with the city to get incentives or with the county to get incentives. It doesn't have to come from EDC, but maybe we can be that first step for them to know that Manvel is here and it's available.
At least get their attention.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, start being a little more proactive.
Yeah, if we're going to have a small budget, we might as well get out there and beat the streets a little bit, right?
with that, would there be a realtor piece involved in that, since we don't own any property per se, in the sense of most of our property, big vacant land, is already purchased up by developers that already have their plan laid out for what's going on that property? With us not owning any and not knowing what pieces may come up on the market, what enticement?
We just would use like the multi-listing programs to say these are what are for sale in the city. And so we just steer them in the direction of, hey, there's a 30-acre tract that's for sale here. We don't actually facilitate, the real estate part of it, but we let them know, hey, this is available in our city. let's start the process, see if it's something that you're interested in.
I'll reach out to the Alliance and get information for
Awesome.
y'all on how to get on that listing or what we would need to do.
Perfect.
If it's through them or do it independently.
Very good.
Yeah, so Patty, she does do the RFPs and send stuff out, send information out. That's what she was telling us. And also Betty, when I talked to her too. But with you talking, Tammy, about the real estate piece, most of these companies have their own, what's called real estate department. And they have from real estate specialists, from the brokers, site selectors, who all look at various things based on their site selection criteria. Because each company has a different criteria. So that piece we don't have to worry about on the real estate side. As far as letting them know the what's available in the area on and off market, that's pretty much all they pretty much want to know.
Very good. Thank you, Martina.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion on that from anybody? Okay. Derek, you have something or no?
No, I think if we had that person that ran the MEDC, that's something they could constantly look at the website.
It's definitely kind of all fits together, right? Where you have somebody full-time that's plugged in all the time, just looking for economic development in the city.
Yeah, they generally would be also talking to the landowners that have property for sale, just to find out what their plans are with the property. You got a closed business, you find out who owns that property, and you talk to them so that you can match them with a buyer.
Yeah. Again, it's about being proactive and not
Right.
just waiting for somebody to come into the room, right?
Yep, and that's what we need. We got to be proactive.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on. We've got our consent agenda. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? None opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Anything, Tammy, before we finish up?
We got one to do for December or?
So there is nothing right now for December's agenda, other than would be the update from the Alliance. There is going to be possibly the meeting before that, so to determine what comes out of the meeting that you have with the city. So if there is a December meeting, it would be December the 10th. As soon as we know, I'll send that out to everybody to let you know if we're ready for that week or if it'll bump into January.
All right, very good. We get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second? I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.